Thanks so much for joining the stream. Make sure you check below and hit the like button, and make sure you're subscribed. The lights are on, the cameras are rolling, and we're ready to go live. So make sure you comment and ask as many questions as you can. That makes this experience better, and it lets the algorithm know that this is engaging, and so it goes ahead and invites other people into the stream as well. So thank you very much for making this channel what it is. Now let's compare some e-ink tablets. So much for joining. Thank you for your patience as well, and I'm really sorry that I just had that bit of a technical issue and a bit of a late start. Can you let me know if you can hear me loud and clear in the chat? And we're going to look and talk about what the future of ePaper might be today. And I've got here, this is the Harborinno. We're going to have a good look at this today. So I think this is quite a special little screen. It's quite an interesting little screen. Doesn't look great yet, but when I bring this light over, when you catch it right, this screen does look really quite good. And that's what we're going to be talking about first of all, but I've got a couple more things to talk about today. I've got the Eazeye 2.0 to try out and show you a little bit of today as well. And we've also got a little bit of chat. I've noticed something and thought about something about the Boox Super Refresh and how good that is. And you might just see it behind me at some point, but we've got the keyboard case for the Boox Note Max, and we're going to talk through a few things with that today as well, some things that I've noticed already. Let me know you can hear me loud and clear, and let's get on with it. Let's talk about the Harborinno first. I'm excited to be here. Sorry for the delay there. Unfortunately, I think I've got an issue with my large camera, which is going to be, well, I hope that's okay. I don't know why it just wasn't allowing me. It's normally this camera, the R5, is normally the top-down camera, and for some reason it was just glitching out on me there. So I thought I had loads of time, but the minute something goes wrong, and something's always going wrong with this, it's quite a technical feat to stream from your study in the way that I do. So yeah, let's get into it, and let's get into the Harborinno first. Now, one thing I do with my e-ink tablets is I use my handwritten notes and then I export them as PDFs and I shove them into ChatGPT. And what I say is, can you read the handwriting for me and send that back as bullet points? Now, normally that works just fine, but it can probably tell you something about this Harborinno that actually ChatGPT said, no, sorry, there might be an issue because I can't read the handwriting at all. So there we go. Take that for what it is. This handwriting on here with this pen wasn't quite good enough. And what do you think about this? Have you seen my video, my Harborinno? This is called the Paper 7. Have you seen my video for it already? It's an interesting device, I think. There's something about it when you do catch the light right, that the colors do look just so. And there's just something about this device that I really quite like. And there's something about this device that when I got it, when I took it out of the box and started using it, I thought to myself, yeah, there's something about this that I really quite like using, and I really was happy to use, and I really enjoyed using it. I did, I had a little bit of time reading on it, and thought, you know what, I really quite like this. It's very thin, it's very light, it's got this nice textured back here as well, and you know, when you, as I say, when you get that right, when you get the look right, it does look really quite good. And so, yeah, I've been using it with Kindle, and I'm actually going to download something else rather than go back to that one because it doesn't got that. I'll open Watchman, why not? It just looks really quite good. When you zoom in panel by panel on here, you know, it was quite pleasant. Although I must say that if you're trying to hold this and read this in bed, holding it at a slight angle to catch the light isn't that great. But, you know, there's something about that. Like, those colors look great. They really do. And yeah, we'll go through the notes that I made with, rather than having ChatGPT have actually sort of transcribed these and give me them back as talking points. I'll just go through them here. And first off, it's palm rejection. Palm rejection is really bad. Now, partly that's because this is a USI 2.0 stylus, so it's a cheaper option that. But generally, because it's small, you see me accidentally move it there. Because it's quite a small tab, but I think is quite tricky to get palm rejection right on it, and you're often accidentally pressing these buttons down here. And yeah, you can see that. The trick is to make sure you put the pen down first, because the minute the pen's engaged, then palm rejection is very good. So it's kind of like a bit of muscle memory to do that every single time, really. But when I did take this out, I thought to myself, gosh, this actually looks really quite good. I was actually surprised, as I say, that made me think, you know, maybe maybe rLCD is actually a viable technology. Maybe the rLCD is a viable technology for ePaper in the future. This is quite a sort of, it's not glossy, the screen. It has an anti-reflective coat, and actually you can see it's doing quite well against the glare there, but it isn't a sort of textured screen, and so it doesn't have a nice feeling of the pencil on the paper like a lot of our favorite e-ink tablets do. So that's one issue with it there. But as I say, I have been used to really kind of dismissing rLCD for tablets, and that's partly because I remembered reviewing the iMoo, and this iMoo, I had to get it out to remind myself of just sort of how bad this was. This iMoo, you can see here, is terrible. I mean, look at the difference. If I put them both on the screen at the same time, look at the difference in how they are actually handling those reflections there. I'll put this in the same place. Yeah, it's just, this is doing a good job of sort of blowing it out. I know you can't see it very well there, but for me, from my angle, I can see the shape. I can see every single LED in that bulb up there. Whereas this is actually a nice soft sort of shimmer across the screen that I can still discern the text underneath. So it is far better. And the reason it's far better is because it doesn't have the front light. Now, on the iMoo, they had a front light on it, which it seems like you would want that, right? It seems straight away you think, gosh, I'm not going to be able to use this in a dark room if it doesn't have a front light. So if I turn the front light right off, and now you can really see next door to one another how much darker, and I'll put them in the, swap their places around. So you can just see that specular reflection there. It's just so difficult to see that there, but you can hopefully make out my point that they've done a much better job on the top surface of this. And that's, as I say, front light right off. Okay, it's not too bad. It is now acting like rLCD at least, but you can see here there's a massive gap between the top of the screen and the actual screen itself, the top surface and the screen itself. And the reason for that is because of that front light. And the issue with this front light was the front light was right at the bottom, and you can really see that gradient across there. It's much brighter at the bottom there. So generally, I found this screen much worse on my eyes than just an ordinary LCD, because I was spending so much time actually just squinting at it. It was not comfortable to read. You can see it's covered in dust and smudges and everything like that. It's just a horrible top surface, whereas this is really quite pleasant to feel. It's really quite pleasant to use. So let's talk about the Harborinno, the device in question. Warm welcome to you all. Please fire in with any questions as we go through. We've got some interesting things to talk about today. I think it's about 215. I want to say on the top of my head. It's not very heavy at all, so it's good. And it's very nice and light, which is one of its benefits there. So yeah, very thin, very light. It's like 5.5 millimeters as well thickness. So the screen resolution, it's not a high resolution screen. It is, where's my little note about that? It is 768 by 1024, okay, at 7.8. So it's the same size as a Supernote Nomad, but it does have the benefit of color, of course, and that calculates to 164 pixels per inch. I mean, are you getting this? This looks pretty good on here, doesn't it? I just like the way this looks. And I quite like the way rLCD has this kind of silverish sheen to it when it should be white. I quite like that as well. And thank you very much, Flay. And I've got a special video launching tomorrow, and I've also got another live stream. I'm going to do that a bit early because I'm going to take the evening off on Thursday to celebrate that. So I'm looking forward to that. So join me just to celebrate that on Thursday as well, please. Why not? So does it actually represent rLCD getting there now? I think this screen, this Harborinno, this is a Kickstarter, and I don't know if I've got the link in the description, but I do have a full video on it where there'll be a link in the description for that one as well. and I'll keep using it, and I'll give you my sort of full thoughts at some point as well. Now, one thing about this whole front light business is rLCD, it seems, does need more light than e-ink does. Okay, so a front light is going to be less effective than it is on an e-ink tablet. And what I have found on the rLCD, especially on the color rLCD, is that you're always trying to shift it to catch the right angle. Okay, and when you get it right, it looks amazing. But yeah, if I show you that on the screen, look, now I can see that really nicely actually where I'm sitting. But you guys at home, you will be finding, you know, even there, look, that to that camera looks great, but the top-down camera looks awful and impossible to read. So constantly having to shift it like this. So a front light would necessarily make this much too thick and have a big distance between the top and the actual screen. You'd have these reflective issues where you can't really see what's going on the screen, even with the front light turned right up. And all of a sudden, you've got a way less comfortable screen than any OLED or anything like that. So there we are. So I think black and white rLCD can be brighter in the same lighting, but for me, one of the benefits of rLCD is having color. And of course, if you don't want color, then you're pretty much, why not just go black and white? And I'm thinking, of course, why not just go black and white e-ink? And if I bring in an e-ink tablet here, trusty Go 10.3, you can see in the same lighting just how much brighter that is than the screen here. I mean, it's just, you know, I'd have to sort of adjust the camera settings to kind of capture the right things on here, because there you can really see it's kind of blown out entirely, hasn't it? But this one is looking good, and that one is very bright. So that should tell you the camera is doing quite a bit of compensating. I go down to what's more of a balanced actual look there. You can really see a nice white there as well. So yeah, here we go. That's really cool, isn't it? And then let's talk about the limitations of the Eazeye 2.0 stylus. Here we go with that. I draw in OneNote, you'll see I've drawn some little circles here. This is how you test out these styluses. You can see these circles here that look like a little logo turtle has drawn them. So they're going like, they're not circular, they're not going around the angle. There's angles all over there, which just aren't looking great. If I do slow diagonal lines, especially at an angle of the stylus, look, there we go. But it does have tilt, you know, the stylus does work with tilt, and actually I've been playing about with Sketchbook a bit in here. I haven't done much actual drawing, but I just don't think, the stylus is kind of like a nice to have on here. It's just like, you might as well. And they put it in here because, well, a Eazeye stylus isn't as expensive as the Wacom. So if they did a Eazeye stylus, it would be more expensive. But also, if you put a Wacom layer on, you get a larger gap between the top of the screen and the actual e-ink, or the actual rLCD in this case. And that, as I hope I've kind of demonstrated to you, is a big issue with rLCD screens. So you see, actually, the gap is quite small there. And yeah, if they put a Wacom layer, it would have that extra layer on top, be too reflective, I think, and pick up too much glare. But it would also make it more expensive. And this thing is, in the Kickstarter, going to come out at just below $200. So it might be a shout for some of you if you're interested in rLCD. It might. This is the iMove was the first one that I saw of rLCD, and I was like, yeah, I'm not so sure that's a viable technology. But maybe for comic books, actually, I could see this, and I will sit and read some things on here, and I will give you my feedback. I did think maybe I'd use it for work, but I think the note-taking aspect of it is just not going to quite get there. So any questions about these before I change to our next little topic? We're going to talk about the Easeye 2.0. So we're keeping it rLCD. We're talking about the future of ePaper today. I'll get some of your questions as well. So thanks so much for all the congratulations. This is cool. It is the same idea as the Daylight computer, excepting the Daylight computer is a black and white screen. And the reason for that is because the black and white rLCD requires less light on it. So that's why they've gone for black and white. But I just think that with Android, with apps, you really do want color. So if it's going to be a Daylight computer replacement, think they really should have gone down the color option there, but that does have a front light. The Daylight Computer. Thanks so much for the 10 years. Yeah, thanks so much for your reviews and informative content. Yeah, awesome. My pleasure. It's been a pleasure. I've got a couple more days of talking about that, so I won't spend too much time on it right now. But yeah, my channel was launched yesterday, the 5th of February, 10 years ago, and my first video was the 6th of February, so on Thursday. So I'll be back on Thursday to sort of celebrate that moment and talk through my sort of journey as well, if you're interested in that. So I'll just take 2 ticks, and then I will be back with a quick chat about the Eazeye 2.0, which is just over my shoulder just there. So yeah, see you in a couple of seconds. Thanks so much for being here and spending time with me on this live stream. I really enjoy engaging with you guys and answering your questions live. It's a massive support to me. Now, if you do decide that one of the devices that I review here on my channel is for you, then go ahead and check the links in the description, because when you make a purchase through a YouTuber's affiliate links, you make it possible for us to keep making content for you. So the Eazeye, so get my solo view up. The Eazeye 2.0 is this thing over my shoulder here, and I've focused on that rather than on me. You can see what Lewis has actually done here. He's made it now a 24-inch screen, which is fully reflective panel. There's no front light to it. There's no backlight to it at all. It's just as it is. And so far, sure enough, it's been quite good as well. I've got lots of light on it right now because it's nighttime here, but it is facing opposite my window. And actually, I've been kind of enjoying it. So it isn't cheap again, and there's lots of reasons for that. And I'll be releasing a full review on this as well. I don't know if any of you have tried out the earlier Eazeyes, but he went for some different types of solution in the previous ones, in that he had a transflective one and he had a transparent one as well. So transflective means it's partly reflective and partly has sort of transmissive. It's partly reflective and partly transmissive. That's transflective. And the previous one was actually just an LCD, but with no backlight, and you provided the backlight with your natural light. Some other features about it, he's gone for very light, and I'll show you again. You still have that same issue of getting the angle right. When you do get the angle right, it's quite magic actually, and I've been working on it, and it's been quite an enjoyable thing. He's got on here, he's got a simple way just to tilt the screen up, okay, and it's VESA mount, and it's very light. There's no front light at all, and Eazeye have clearly worked very hard on their coating as well to make sure that it's as transmissive. So that's the difficult thing with rLCD. You want the light to go through the top surface and then reflect off the back of the pixels, and then be and then come back through that thing. And he's worked very hard. I've worked very hard on getting that right. And actually, I can show you just a website quickly on it. Why not? It's not touchscreen or anything like that. But you can see, I think I've enjoyed it very much, actually. I've enjoyed it really quite a lot. You do need lots of light, as I say. If you know you have a room which you do have lots of light, or you know that you've got a lighting solution where you can put lots of light on it, as I've just done there, then it can be a thing which works. Okay, I'm going to tilt this back around here and talk a little bit more, just to talk about the cost of these, really, because one of the things about ePaper of all sorts is it's very niche, as you can tell by this not being one of the more popular of the streams that are out there today. This is a very niche topic, okay, and you need to really know if you're going to spend the amount that these things cost. And incidentally, that's the Radiant there. It's not plugged into anything just at the minute, but I will do a comparison where I compare all the Eazeyes, and I will compare it to the Sun Vision, which they've left in my hands, to make comparisons of these as well. So you need to know that it is this type of screen, the LCD screens of the world, that are causing you the eye strain. And I must say, today, I've been working here in my room most of the day. I've been wearing my contact lenses most of the day as well. And I've found that actually working with the screens has been pretty difficult. I'll just leave it in the shot there. And I do find that actually it's very nice to put this up to standing height on the desk that I've got here, the standing desk, and then sort of flick that down quite flat and just give your eyes something different to look at. In the same way as it's really nice to give your eyes something different to look at, something reflective, something more like paper. It is in the middle of your day, just to have a bit of a time on an e-ink screen or an LCD screen, a reflective LCD screen, just gives your eyes that bit of something different, that bit of a break. But you need to know that it is emissive screens that do it for you, because if it is not a cheap solution at all. One thing that Eazeye are doing is they are doing a no hassle, satisfaction guarantee, 30 days. You just need to cover the shipping back. There's no restocking fee for that. And I did think that I had a look at the Sun Vision displays. I haven't got one of those yet, but they've got two now, two new ones, Dawn and Eve, two different sizes, very expensive, but they both have front lights in them this time. And it's an interesting thing that Eazeye, actually, the complaints with their two previous ones were actually including LEDs at all. So here, no front light, no lighting of any sort, no, absolutely no emissive nature to the screen as well. However, if you need to literally bathe it in bright LED light, like I'm having to do this evening here to make it look that good, then you're working in a very bright environment, which is not going to be great for your eyes anyway. So definitely look to get something like I have here, which is a little desk lamp. You see that coming into the shot? Yeah. So that you can bathe it. You can see that's bicolor. So I'm bathing it in warmer light there as well. And you'll need to spend that time really evaluating whether it can work for you or not. The Dawn and Eve are in the region of $1,600, $1,800, whereas this is in the region of $1,000. So none of this technology is cheap. You need to know that it's the thing for you. And also, let's not forget Dassault have actually achieved 30 frames per second, and that's on e-ink, so it's also bistable. So the other thing that we really need, what Eazeye are trying to do and these companies are trying to do, is produce low power solutions. And if you produce a low power solution, if you've got bistable screens, which means that when there's no power, it's still showing the same image, then you've really achieved the sort of holy hand grenade of reflective or e-paper screens there. So e-ink are still leading the market in terms of this e-paper screen technology, and also that type of screen technology, electrophoretic screens, I think they're called. There's the real name for having ink capsules or pigment in little capsules that move up and down. Then e-ink, they're still leading the way there. Okay, I'm going to talk a bit more about e-ink devices in just a moment as well. Let's have a quick look and quick chat about some of your questions here as well. What about note taking like that on Supernote? You mean like a OneNote app on Supernote? I've shown that off in my Supernote content so far. It doesn't work great. It's just, it's too, the e-ink tablets only really work well for note taking in their own dedicated apps, because a normal app will just send it a sort of an image that it can't really handle on the screen. So just stick with the note taking app. If you buy the Supernote, you want it because the note taking experience is so good on the Supernote. Greetings from Argentina. Greetings from the UK as well. Love your channel. Oh, that's very kind of you. Thinking of buying Note Max for reviewing computer science PDFs. So I'm going to bring in the Note Max a little bit later and talk about its keyboard case. I'm glad to help, Augustine. Yeah. Thank you very much for the congratulations there. See you this week. Bit of a celebration week here, because I don't, same with my birthday, I don't like just a day. I like to celebrate the whole time. Yeah, good. And I hope you're glad. Hope you're enjoying it. Awesome. When do I think that 13.3 inch color ink? Yeah, that's an interesting one. Having seen the what's it called? The the Quaderno, pardon me. Having seen the Quaderno's resolution with a 13.3 inch is like 200-ish resolution in black and white, and therefore only about 100 pixels per inch resolution in color. I am not that optimistic for an excellent 13.3-inch color anytime soon. That being said, I'm sure Boox will probably put one in. They kind of might as well. I did look to buy one of the Quadernos, but it seems a bit difficult to get them shipped into the UK. And hello to you as well, and thanks very much for the congratulations. So I'll be back in just a minute, and we will talk about BSR. We'll talk about getting the very best out of e-ink that we can do, and what I think is sort of behind all that. Recently, my channel hit 50,000 subscribers, so thank you so much to each and every one of you who spend any time here watching my content. I'm always interested to hear what you've got to say, and I always value your comments and your questions to inform my content going forward. But I would absolutely love it if I could hit 100,000 this year, so please go ahead and make sure that you are subscribed, and let's run those numbers up to get to 100k in 2025. So moving now away from the reflective LCD and talking more about the e-ink now. And one thing I've been reflecting on recently is how the Boox Tab Ultra C Pro was a little bit of, or is a little bit still, of a high watermark in terms of how good e-ink screens can be. And I was wondering why that is. You know, there's so many devices that have got BSR, that's the Boox Super Refresh that stands for. And these are Kaleido 3 screens. But the Boox Super Refresh seems to work that little bit better here than it does on any other device that I've seen. I was trying to figure out why that was. Let me just show you what I mean. Rotate it. Firstly, if I just show you there, did you see it? The way that those icons just disappear here. And that is the best that I've seen of any e-ink screen there at all. Can see it happen time and time again, and that is across the device. In balanced mode usually is where I'd leave this device at most times, and I wondered why that was. So I went ahead and I did Geekbench, and I did not just the CPU scores, which are 1,000, okay, not great, but yes, not too bad, but then the GPU scores, and 2,636. And I thought, well, why is that then? How come this tablet does so much better than the Note Air 4C, which I've left just over here? Because although the Note Air 4C has Boox Super Refresh, it doesn't really ever look quite as good as this one does. I'm gonna go for this one. So here's the Note Air 4C coming in, and let's check that out, doing the similar sort of things. I'll try and make sure the fingerprint, always a little bit stage fright, the fingerprint readers on live streams. If I just go ahead, the same screen here, both Kaleido 3 screens, both e-ink, you can still see so much ghosting here. It never quite scrubs that out. That is gone. There's a tiniest little remnant, but here on the Note Air 4C, there's still quite a bit. So both are labeled have BSR. They both say, well, we've got Boox Super Refresh technology. We'll just check that they're both in the same screen mode. I'm sure they will be because I leave them in. Oh, this is actually, they're both in ultra fast at the minute. So let's go back to balanced. So we're in the same. But yeah, I'm still seeing a lot more ghosting here on the Note Air 4C. In fact, I think that the balanced mode is actually a little bit worse than the ultra fast over here, because I'm actually seeing more ghosting here on the ultra fast, on the balanced mode, which is a bit of a surprise, but there we are. You can see that ultra fast just clearing that thing out. We could do a full refresh, of course, it all goes. But I mean, that is, yeah, it's impressive on both, but it is measurably better here on the Tab Ultra C Pro. And the reason for that, when you go into the Geekbench, I ran the same test on the GPU, history, GPU. Now the GPU score on the Note Air 4C is only 967. So there we are. The GPU score is half, less than half of what it is on the Tab Ultra C Pro. And that is the benefit of having the 8 series. The Snapdragon 8 series processor has that better GPU. The GPU is just a cut above. It really is. Now, if we then go down to something like the Go 10.3, we'll bring that back in actually. Let's put it a bit further up there. If we bring back the Go 10.3 here, you'll see, well, its ghosting performance is, it's not even comparable. Although it's not bad, there's nothing necessarily wrong with it, but it does have to work harder. And I did do some macro shots, and it certainly doesn't look good. Doesn't look anywhere near as good when you go into the faster modes. Contrast just totally goes. And why is that? Well, it's because go into normal mode. When I go to the Geekbench of this and look at the GPU score for here, 341. So way lower even than the Note Air 4C. So really, when we're saying Boox Super Refresh, we're really talking about just how good is the GPU. The Note Air 3 also then goes down to a lower, this is the 227 ppi screen here, the older screen. And again, you can tell straight away it doesn't look as good as the Boox Go 10.3 does. Even in its speed mode, look, now they're both in speed modes. You can see the contrast is much better on the Go 10.3. So why is that? Well, Boox Super Refresh, neither of them have it, but when I look at the GPU score over here, did I manage to get a GPU score on here? Yeah, 343, so about the same, but the older screen, the lower contrast screen, and the lower resolution screen as well. So there we are. Now, I think that's quite enlightening in a way. I don't know if you followed that. I hope you followed that really there, because it really is that not all BSR is created equal. And so that got me thinking about, well, if this is the high watermark, the Tab Ultra C Pro, and I think it is, I think it's the one that really impresses me every time I look at it. I'm like, oh yeah, that is some really good use of e-ink there. Sure, it's got its issues with the battery life, all these well-documented things. But then there was the Note Max, of course, and the Note Max has BSR. So therefore, it has a good GPU in it. Bring this in to zoom out a bit. Always the way when you get this big e-ink in the screen, you're like, wow, it's pretty impressive. No fingerprint reader at all on the Boox Note Max, though. One thing I think it does miss. Now the battery has just got to 20% just now, so it's telling me the battery is low. Just rotate that. And this keyboard case goes back to this flippy thing, although at least now there's a way to hold your pen in place when you shove this in and out of your bag. But it is the case. I can see this when I've zoomed in on macro shots and slowed it right down and things. You can see the BSR working hard on this device. You can see it is doing its job. But what is it actually doing? Well, it's just using a better GPU. It has a better GPU score than the non-BSR devices. But you can see, can you make it out? Quite a lot of ghosting in there already. I'll do a similar thing in a minute. But if I look at the history, yeah, CPU scores pretty much in line with the Tab Ultra C Pro. Slightly behind it on single core, but slightly ahead of it on multi-core. That's basically the same score there. And then the GPU score here, basically the same again. 2,645 plays 2,636. So they are basically the same level of processor. I don't know if they are literally the same processor. They might well be. But as I said, not all BSR is created equal, meaning these two have the best processors in them. And by processor, I mean best system on chip. However, this is not doing what the other one does, because you can see this level of ghosting on here. And that level of ghosting just doesn't occur here on the Tab Ultra C Pro. We're going to CPU Z. What's the name of that? Yeah, they are literally the same processor. And that has that same GPU built onto it. So that is, yeah, Adreno 640. There we are. And now you can see, yeah, I'm just getting all of that ghosting still on here. So why is it that we haven't got the same BSR modes? I just don't know. Yeah, I think that maybe says that it's possibly something to do with the screen size, or otherwise it might be just the way that they've actually implemented this BSR down here as well. And there's no mode that looks anywhere near as good as fast mode does all of the time. And even you can see in the HD mode, look, there's barely any ghosting at all over here on the Tab Ultra C Pro. It really is always fast and always just nice and slick. Go and scroll through a website, shall we? I'll do it in Neo browser. Should be the best image of it, shouldn't it? That's because I'm in keyboard case. Yeah, it does have BSR. You can tell it has BSR because you can tell the way that it is managing to render things without, like, smoothly, without having to do a full refresh. It's automatically gone into its A2. So let's go back to HD on both. And you can see then it's not going to have such a good time. Yeah, it's trying to do a full kind of refresh each time. And then if I go balanced, I think balanced, there is no equivalent to balanced. I think that A2 must be the equivalent to fast, really. And you just see it clearing up the white space there and it not doing the same, or not to the same extent over here on the Note Max. So yeah, I just thought that was quite an interesting thing. And BSR means has an acceptable GPU. I did think, well, let's have a look at it. The Boox rival, if you like, the no, not that one, the Bigme. Where did I put it? Over here. Bigme B1051C. Let's bring that in as well. I just did a benchmark on that to have a little look at this. Now, incidentally, the Bigme here is one of a series, and there is even a higher, there is a even sort of more premium device in this same 1051C series. It's a lot thinner than the Tab Ultra. It's also got the keyboard case built onto it as well. And actually, my objection to this, that I didn't like about it, was the stylus accuracy is way off. It's terrible. And that is, I don't know why it is, to be honest. It's something to do with the hardware, though. Still looking quite good. But the stylus accuracy just made me sort of dismiss this quite out of hand, really, because I think if an e-ink tablet can't do a nice rendition of your handwriting, it's not the actual stylus, it is actually the machine itself. These are wobbly and just not pleasant lines at all. I just can't write neatly on it at all because the text just comes out. You can really see that there, I hope. Comes out all wobbly like that. Not great at all from it. But its actual performance around the device is pretty blooming slick, to be quite honest. There we are. Go into apps and show you just sort of skipping backwards and forwards. You see it does things really quickly. We haven't quite got the equivalent to just sort of skipping across these things here. But if we go into an app, go into Chrome and Chrome, actually that is a really smooth refresh here. What setting am I in? I think I'm just in the default setting. And having played about a bit, I can tell you the default setting is just the best. And actually, it is really quite good. And so I don't think, maybe I was a little bit too quick to dismiss the Bigme here. Because as a little computer replacement, look how smooth that scroll is, and how just the ghosting hardly even appears. The ghosting, when you see it, the ghosting kind of just appears for a moment and then it's just gone in one flash. Whereas the Boox tablets seem to sort of remove the ghosting in sort of several sequential kind of flashes, which flash is a strong word in this case because it's not like the gallery free flashes. So yeah, it's an interesting one. I think what's gone is the days where we used to say that e-ink doesn't require an up-to-date processor. I think that maybe I need to have a little look at this Bigme again because it's a processor which is quite on par. So to show you the scores on Geekbench on it, you can see, yeah, 2000. Okay, GPU score on it 2353. But if they actually have a updated device from this with an even better GPU score, then maybe that will perform even better in terms of giving you clear e-ink. And if what you're after is a device that does this and turned into a little sort of tablet PC type affair, and that mouse pointer is pretty quick as well. If what you're after is that, then actually that's not too bad. I mean, they've even got a function row, so dedicated button for switching off the keyboard, the trackpad, just in case you accidentally hit it while you're typing. Whereas this, you have to access the function row by hitting F and it's hitting function button, and that's a modifier then for the top row of keys. So you've got an extra row of keys here on the tablet. If you're just after a PC, then that's quite good. They also get around the issue of like things disconnecting and falling out of the case by just having physical clip-ins, which then I don't know why they didn't just go with that and not bother with any magnets, because I think it might be magnets that interferes with that pen. And if the pen input wasn't important at all to you, then maybe this was actually a viable option. And typing in it is quite a good time as well. So we can just maybe go quickly and show a little bit of that. Needs to be a typing. That is as quick as it gets on e-ink, that really is. And maybe e-ink, after all, with all the talk of the rLCD at the top, with all of that talk, maybe actually e-ink is still the thing that it is. Very, very kind. Guys, I'm going to just have a little look through the comments and things. Then I'm going to do one more. I'm going to come back and look at the keyboard case on the Boox Go 10.3. Some really nice comments coming in whilst I was doing that little bit there as well. So thanks for spending your evening or afternoon or whichever it is with me. And we'll talk more about some e-ink tablets. Let's do that. Put the Tab Ultra C Pro. Say, what do you think of that? Were you surprised at how sort of much better than the Note Air 4C that was? It is not the case if you get one BSR device that you can just presume that all the others will be exactly the same as that, because they won't. So yeah, so starting there, how kind of you, Alexandra. Thank you very much. It's nice of you to do that as well. Help you choose the current tablet. Is Supernote A5X still a user of that? By answering the question in another live session during COVID. Yeah, my pleasure, Alexandra. My pleasure. Yeah, 10 years. Isn't it amazing? 10 years, Mason. Yeah, thank you very much for dropping in. Lurking for a while. Really enjoy content. I'm wrestling with Note F4C or Note Max. Well, let's have a look at the Note Max in a moment as well. Any chance of getting a hands-free TLCD computer monitor? I hope for a comparison video with the new Eazeye. I can ask. I haven't been in contact with them, but yeah, I can ask. There's a limited number of companies. I'm not sure exactly who it is. There's a limited number of companies that are making this type of screen. So really the panels themselves are largely going to be the same from one to the other as well. Charbags is here. Awesome. Yeah, I love your content, Charbags. Thank you very much for dropping by. You published your first Boox video 15 years ago before it got trendy. Okay, my man. I hadn't honestly heard of Boox. I hadn't heard of Remarkable until 5 years ago. And there we go. So it's great to hear from you. Yeah, thanks very much. So how long have you been making your content, Sharbax? Tell me. 19 years, you say. Sorry, you said it already. 19 years. Have I checked them from Genier Tech? No, I had something from Genier Tech. I just had their single board PC. I noticed they did make some sort of open source ones that you can sort of do your own thing with. So that's cool. That is really awesome. I thought about asking them for it, but I just knew that I wouldn't be able to recommend it over some of the others for most people. Now, some people like this do-it-yourself aspect, and that's what Sharbax's channel is all about, like do-it-yourself tech as well. So definitely go on that. Kind words. Thank you very much. My plan to test the new Quaderno A4C seems like it'll be available in a few weeks or so. I will look at it. I've asked them to send me tablets before, but they say they're not interested in promoting into this market, so it's just a no-go. But I will ask, and I did consider just buying one, but again, I haven't been able to see how to buy one in this area just yet. So if it's possible, I might do. But I was really put off by the low resolution in color and the low resolution, 200 ppi and in black and white, 100 ppi in color. It's just when you've got something like this, then maybe that's not the thing to recommend. So we'll see. Yeah, I'd love to get one and try it out. So we'll see with that. Ruben's here. Congrats, 10 years. Watched you since year 1. And I'm from Barcelona currently, watching you in Guatemala. Awesome. Thanks for that, man. Watched you since year 1. So tell us if you remember any of my old videos and anyone that's a nice one. Nice little moment. Pretty detailed and use case driven. The use case approach is the massive reasons. Thanks very much. Yeah. And that is where I'm kind of aiming to do more of as I go forward, really just focusing on my use case as well. Quaderno platform seems a little too simple as well, so I thought, yeah, maybe less features than remarkable. Absolutely there is, but they're the Sony DPT platform, and the Sony DPT is a, it's a bit like the Manta actually. It's a lightweight plastic shell, and it might be that it's actually really, really good. So I'd like to try it before I do that as well. Just interviewed TCL CSOT today. They claim they might be able to lower the cost of a large ink screen due to the TFT backplane tech. Fascinating. And that's what this industry needs. And if we're going to talk about where the future of ePaper goes, that's what it needs. The future needs ePaper to be a lot cheaper than it is right now. So absolutely fascinating, Sharbax. If you haven't seen and subscribed to Sharbax's channel, go and do that whilst I play you another quick little chat. And I get ready to look at the keyboard case for the Boox Note Max. I just want to take a moment to talk about my membership offer. There are 3 tiers of membership. Firstly is the advanced view evaluators, and people love to see my videos before they go live to the public. The next tier is members only videos, and this year I'm increasing the number of members only videos that I put out each month. It's amazing to me that my channel is at the point where I can't respond to every single comment that I get. I try my best to get around to as many as I possibly can, but as a member in any tier, I'll always respond to your questions first. And I do know that many of you have questions about your specific use case. And the last tier is my office only tiers, where I'll offer you a call every quarter if you join that tier. So you can discuss and get advice about which one might suit you, but also how you can integrate these into your work life. I really appreciate that many of you want to support the channel in this way, and this is just a bit more than giving a super thanks on a live stream. So thank you once again. Thank you very, very much. Just thank you very much for being here and chatting about ink tablets with me for a change. It's a good time, isn't it? There's something fascinating about this ePaper technology. I don't think it's quite as simple as it's like the newspapers in Hogwarts. It's not that simple. It's all about it being comfortable with your eyes. It's all about it being a pleasant experience to read and to take notes and to write on. And this Boox Note Max was really, I was thinking this is going to be the one. Thank you so much, Cute Maxi. This was going to be the kind of thing that was going to do it for me, and I was going to be using this. And I really expected to be recommending the Boox Note Max as the one for everybody, the best you could buy. But I don't think that I really can. And I mentioned in my last video on it that what would make or break this would be the keyboard case, and I just don't think they've got it right. It doesn't feel like the case fits together for a start. It doesn't feel like it was even made for this device in a way. If I just show you, it looks okay there, and there is a magnet. There is a magnetic connection between the device with the power button there and the actual keyboard, but you can just see, look, that magnet is not strong enough to hold it. And it actually slides a good, I don't know what that is, like 3/4 of a centimeter in either direction. It just feels wrong. It just isn't clipping in. And that's not what the previous one did. That is not how it felt when you used the Tab Ultra C. when you close that, it's got a very satisfying, very satisfying clunk that it's closed there. I don't even think it is really, it just feels like it actually fits the device. The case fits the device. So for some reason, the device doesn't seem to fit in the case. There might be a clue in a moment as well. It's also got this little removable clip, which is like, okay, at least my pen is held on. But look, if I get it the wrong way around, it doesn't hold, and there's no like visual indicator that tells me I need to get it this way around. And when I get it this way around, it does hold. There we are. And that is okay. Now at least my pen is in place. But I mean, it's just, yeah, it's just not right. So we've got this annoying removable one, but it's not easy or straightforward to use as well. So let's just presume, okay, we're going to want to use this thing in its keyboard mode like this. Well, now it automatically rotates, sure, and I can input my pin with either my on screen or with the buttons, with the keys. That's what we want, of course. Okay, and now we have it in its keyboard mode. Oh, we're okay, fine. Doesn't quite fit. Maybe it's designed to go with a color device in the future, because there are, in fact, brightness level keys on here. So that's a thing that could indicate that this is actually not just the Note Max keyboard case, but actually their 13.3 keyboard case. And you think, okay, I can forgive it if it's got a really good typing feel. Okay, I can certainly forgive it. Let's get typing on it then, and I'll go into Word. Why not? And I've done a little bit of typing. Well, I've done quite a bit, because I really want to love this. Really want to love this. Oh, double press there. And it just doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like a premium typing experience at all. And this plastic it's very soft plastic, so it's, don't think it's really going to scratch the screen when it's on there, because the screen is most likely harder than it. But it's not got a nice soft touch to it. There's a kind of graininess, almost like it constantly feels dusty almost. And when I look at the keys, I don't know if I mentioned a double press there, and it's been mentioned by Jeffrey Moss, who says he's got these accidental double spacebar presses. And I've been counting, I've had that 4 times in the time that I've been using it as well. So it does happen, but it doesn't happen sort of all the time. So let's just have another little spread on it. Okay, no, that was okay. So I didn't do that. And I think what it might be, it looks like the keys just aren't really quite set in the right way. That you can possibly just see it looks almost slightly bent, that spacebar key. It's not even like higher up in the middle. It looks kind of like it's higher up, sort of 2/3 to one side. And also the enter key, the shift key there, actually, you can see that it looks like it's bent down at the end. And it almost feels like it must be supposed to be like that. But I just think that it's not. And the same on this shift key. So maybe it is supposed to be like that. But it isn't a good ergonomic feeling, that's for sure. It doesn't inspire you with confidence. Now, also lifting it around, and it's nicely secure in there at the bottom there, but where it comes off when you lift it, it comes off at the top there like that. So there's that issue with it as well. And I just think, you see that? So it comes off here rather than like at the bottom. I just think that there were better options for this as well. And then you think, well, okay, all right, I can live with it. At least I've got a keyboard case. It's an option. I can leave it in its normal case most of the time. But it's not an expensive one. It's just what it is. But then you look at the price, and it's like $150. You just think, well, for $150, I could buy a Bluetooth mechanical keyboard for sitting here on my desk, and I could buy myself an inexpensive Bluetooth one that could fit in my bag. I could, take my pick out of those two, and then I can just use the case that came with it, which the case that came with it is a really nice case. And there's nothing wrong with the orange leather of this. It's quite a nicely made overall case. It just doesn't seem to fit with the quality of the device. And that's been the conclusions of some of the other reviewers as well. And I'm just finding it not the premium experience that I was expecting, given the absolutely really premium experience of the Note Max itself. The actual tablet is great, but just from the get-go, it just hasn't felt like the promise that it kind of lives up to. See that? It's coming away. Like, I think there's just too big a gap at this side. I think if it was meant for this, that should be right in there. I've toyed with the idea of actually putting myself a little spacer in there, putting a little foam insert or something to just allow it to do that. But and that keeps coming off here. Have I got the wrong way around, maybe? No, it was the right way around. Yeah, nice. Yeah, it's a bit disappointing. There's no delete key on it, and I find that really frustrating. That am I the only one that uses both backspace and delete, like when I type? Is it just me? But I need both. I need both options. I need both options all of the time. There's no delete key. There's just a backspace key. And that function, and it says delete there, but function and delete doesn't allow to do that. On Alt and delete doesn't do that either. Maybe it's command. There's no hardware like trackpad off key, which I'd like to see. There's lots of little shortcuts labeled on there, but Alt T is the trackpad off key, so that's okay. It's stuff like when you engage the keyboard, the by default the on-screen keyboard comes up, but you have to turn it off in settings. But that should be off by default when you've connected a physical keyboard, surely. So stuff like that just isn't as well thought through as it maybe could be. So there we go. Now that trackpad and the whole keyboard should be big enough that you don't accidentally press it much, but I have accidentally pressed it a few times. And I think it was just mentioned in chat. I'll get the questions in a moment. But because we don't have the proper BSR modes, typing is a bit slower than it should be as well. So it isn't up to that scratch. I talked about BSR earlier on in the stream. It isn't quite up to the scratch of the Tab Ultra C Pro, where typing is slick and fast. Yeah. I do also think, the debate continues as to whether you really want a dedicated keyboard case. And I talked about this a lot with the Note Air 4C versus the Tab Ultra C Pro. Which one would you get? Would you get the one that had the dedicated keyboard case if you were a typist? Or actually, is it better to just carry around a second keyboard? I think at this price, I know what I'd be doing. I really expected them to nail it, but I've been left a little bit unsure here. We've been waiting for an e-ink laptop for such a long time, and I really thought Boox would have just got this right. It doesn't seem like that level of device here yet. Sure, it's actually not an expensive device. Let's not forget they have delivered a 13.3-inch e-ink at £650, but I wouldn't add the $150 for the keyboard case on top of that, pounds or dollars, whichever. I wouldn't add that amount onto it just for this laptop-ish experience. And that's disappointing because I really want an e-ink laptop that just works. I really want e-ink screens in my life, more of them and bigger ones, because they're great. But yeah, we'll see. Yeah, and I will do a proper video on it. Okay, but there are just loads of great options for keyboards for far less than $150. I mean, you look at the mechanical keyboards you can buy for $150. It's incredible. Yeah, I felt sure there was going to be room for a full function row. I'm pretty good seeing that from the pictures. Maybe the early units are a bit faulty with things like that double press. But there we go. And that's the difference, with Boox, it's all there. It's just not fully formed yet. It's like the promise of this was just like so good. And in many ways, it is still so good. And I'm not complaining about the thing. And I think still that it's going to be the right choice for many of you sitting there thinking that you want a 13.3-inch e-ink. You do, but it isn't what it could have been. Whereas Supernote, they made us wait. They made us wait for some time whilst they agonized over things like the pen loops, but they got it right. And Boox, they have given us this. They've charged us for the benefit of this. and it's not where it could be. So I don't know. You can still decide whether this is right for you or not. I'm still living with it. I'm going to be typing on it. I'm going to be working on it for my writing use. I'm going to find out whether those things really bother me long term. We will see. But that's why Manta is the #1 right now. It's because they got it exactly what they said they were going to do. That's what we got. I'm currently using the Manta full time. Kind of hope that there aren't going to be any releases in the near future, because my sort of role here is to chop and change and test things out for you guys, so that you know in the actual use case that I have, a professional, a creative, a teacher and a creative is how I'm sort of describing myself at the minute. And yeah, I'll use them, but I'd like to just continue using the Manta because I'm really enjoying having it as this one sole place where I can do all my thinking, where I can dive into the mind flow, as they put it. I'm loving that about it. I can go straight to my journal or straight to my planning. And you can see I've written so much more since I've gone back to using the Manta full time, because I just love writing on the thing. I'm just going to make a little link to the start of February now. You know, just so easy to just dot about. You know, and that's me. Oh, what was I doing in February? Yeah, there we are. Writing about things I love about making a YouTube channel, apparently. But just enjoying writing, and that's the thing. It's great though. Okay, so I will keep going along with that keyboard case, and I'll let you know how I find it after I've honestly used it for long enough, because I think that you do need to live with a thing to find out if those things that really just annoyed you at first, did they really properly annoy you, or are they actually just things that just kind of you think could be a nuisance, or are there things that creep up that actually really annoy you as well. So cool, we're going to spend a bit of time going through the chat. Thank you very much for spending the evening with me, or afternoon, wherever you are. Let's go right to the top again. Congratulations, thank you very much, appreciate that. Yeah, it's bad. Yeah, it is bad. How many people love writing on ink laptops? Yeah, it really just needs to feel like a MacBook writing experience and super stable. Absolutely, yeah. I'm convinced somebody's going to get that right in the near future. It might be Lenovo, you never know. Futura got the Note F4C and the Note Max from Amazon with the intention of returning one of them, but I think I ended up returning both and trying the Tab Ultra C Pro instead. Yeah, it's still a solid device. I mean, it must be due a Tab Ultra C Pro 2 or something soon though, for it to, so might want to wait for that one. Yeah, the typing is a bit too slow on it. Yeah. I don't like the flimsy Microsoft Surface type laptop thingies. I'd rather a strong clamshell keyboard case, one that really holds the tab firmly in the attachment for the keyboard case. Yeah, don't disagree at all with that. The one I liked was the Lenovo P12 matte. It was really good. The Lenovo P12 matte was really, really, the way that keyboard worked, you could detach the bottom so you could carry it around like a tablet as well, without having to take the whole thing out of its case. It's quite good as well. I agree to a point here. It's terrible, but then I type on it for a bit, and I'm like, yeah, I'm really enjoying typing on the big e-ink. So you know, give me a moment for just to actually make up my mind, because I think that the there's definitely a use there for some people. I've just been disappointed by the fit and finish. And if it was cheaper, or if it was part of a bundle, I'd say, oh yeah, you might as well, perhaps. Okay, so you don't need to. Everything isn't just black and white. The world isn't just spades, hearts, and diamonds, and the other one, clubs. Okay, so I definitely use delete and back. Yeah, I'm sure most of us do, right? It's just like delete one way or delete the other. You need both keys, don't you? It's so natural to have both keys. Absolutely nothing flimsy about the Microsoft Surface. Let's not have this. Let's call that lid on that one. Let's say super premium feeling. Okay, fine. Yeah. Surface needs to be on a flat table. Use my laptops everywhere. Not on, yeah. So I guess we're talking about yeah, being able to lap a device, aren't we? So can you? The question is, can you put the Note Max into your lap and it work nicely? Then I suppose is what we're getting at. Now, I agree with Sharbax that I don't like the ones where the flap comes off the device to the back. That one, that's never, you're never able to lap. That's reasonably comfortable to lap, reasonably comfortable to work in your lap. That's okay. I've done that a fair bit already, actually. I don't know why, but it doesn't feel, the top of it doesn't feel very sturdy, is all. The top of it feels a bit wobbly like that. So it's not perfect. It's far from perfect, actually. Just putting it together and feeling it like slide up like that, you're just like, what? Yeah. Okay. Problem is the photo is worse than what they have on the cheaper older products. They're lacking the functionality they have on the Go 10.3. Okay, not sure exactly what functionality we're talking about there. I've heard the Manta isn't great for PDF research, referencing, and annotating. It's not as good as the Boox for PDF research, referencing, and annotating, but it isn't bad. The PDF reader in here is fine, and I use it a lot. Here's my teacher resource pack here. I'm just loving it, actually. So I'm doing some feedback. You can see here. So just annotate on here a bit of extra feedback that I'm going to give when I go through this tomorrow. You know, I've got my full, this is my full pack. This is like a 570-page document here. And yeah, it's great. And then the digest feature is absolutely brilliant here. The fact that you're putting your bits of reading, your notes, they're going into one central place, which are always available here. I mean, I don't use it that much, I've got to be quite honest with you, but that's because I'm just getting back to grips with this, and I'm going to live with this for some time. That is a lovely feature, as is the to-do list function as well. So wherever you are, I don't think you can do it from a book, though. I don't think you can make a to-do list from here. No, you can't. So that would be nice. But if you wanted to, that type of functionality, then you could make the PDF as being the background of a notebook, and then you'd have that functionality anyway. So last couple of ones then. Hope everyone's doing well, enjoying the ink world and better eyes. Yeah, absolutely. Except for me, who spent the entire day here just staring at these two LCD screens, making, you know, doing my editing on these guys. That's what my entire day has been, basically. Just staring at these screens. I've got 3 of them, making content, which has been wonderful. I am not complaining at all. But it's been, the nice thing about that is when you got an e-ink tablet and you can do a little bit of something still productive. You can do a bit of writing on a keyboard with e-ink, or you can just take yourself off and do your reading or something like that. Change your change your you know, change your posture, sit somewhere else. I'm thinking of working on the rLCD on the standing desk behind me. You know, that's been really nice to be able to change that up and work on different types of screens. I think variation is the key to having better eyes, happier eyes. And Sharbax filmed the first e-ink laptop back in 2017. I think they have gotten it perfect by now. Yes, they did have that case you could slot in, didn't they? But they don't. That was on the, not even the Note Air lineup. That was on the old Note lineup, wasn't it? Thank you so much, everybody, for spending the evening with me, and I will see you again real soon. I'll see you on Thursday, I hope, and look out for the celebration video, special video drop in just a few hours, actually, at 5 in the morning UK time. We'll have a celebration video. Or did I put it out for 9 o'clock tomorrow? I can't even remember. But it's out tomorrow in any case. I hope you all enjoy that. So cheers.